Okay, good morning, everybody. And again, we're going to get right to it and be quick. Thank you for coming, and I appreciate it. Now, first, I hope everyone here is healthy and okay, and their families are okay. So, we're here today to sound the alarm and urge a crackdown on something that's starting to infect the testing regime for COVID-19, and that is we are here to sound the alarm about tests that are being sold online and are not approved. Here, I'll do it this way. Tests that are not approved by the FDA and are sold online. Most of them are antibody tests, but some of them are actual COVID tests. But imagine if it doesn't work and it's an antibody test. You get a false positive, and you think you have the antibodies, and you go out on the street and you could get COVID. And if it's a false negative, you don't think you have the antibodies, and you do, and you stay home unnecessarily. So there is no excuse for not having all of the tests approved and authorized by the FDA. So today we are sending a letter to the FDA to ask them to do three things. Number one, to ramp up policing of these online tests. Yes. We're asking them to ramp up policing of these online tests which are administered at home. No pharmacist, no intermediary. Second, to make public which tests have been approved and which are not, so the average citizen can know which test to use. And third, to issue cease and desist orders to every company under the penalty of large fines who are issuing these tests without FDA approval. In the last week, the number of these tests has gone way up, and this presents a real danger. We cannot have inaccuracy in testing. We all know how vital testing is. In fact, I led the Senate Democrats to add to the COVID 3.5 bill $25 billion to the federal and state governments to increase our testing regime, requiring the federal government, which has been laggard, this administration has been laggard in coming out with a testing regime, and to give $11 billion to the states so they could administer the tests once the tests are available and do contact tracing. You cannot have a situation where people go online, do the test at home, and then find that those tests are not real, that they are giving too many false negatives and too many false positives. I know of a Long Island family. They went online, used the test, all 5 of them pricked their fingers, and they were relying on the tests until they were told that that test that they used was not FDA approved. The reason we have FDA approval is to make sure we're safe. If the FDA, we've said in the letter, if the FDA does not have enough money to do this, they should call on the White House to give them more money, which the White House can under the testing bill we passed and under its emergency powers. We cannot have false tests being sold online for antibodies or for COVID. It will delay our recovery, it will make the problem worse, and it will endanger the lives of people. Leave anything out, Angelo?
You want to just come through some of your stuff?
Let's see if I left anything out. Yeah. Too many of the testing kits that are sold online are unproven, untested, unregulated. That has to change. Let's see. Okay. This is not a minor issue. If testing is being done by so many people online who are eager to know if they're healthy or not, if they have the antibodies or not, and those tests prove to be false, it will make our recovery from COVID so much later and so much less resilient. Okay? Questions on this subject?
There's a lot of pharmacies and urgent care centers doing antibody testing. What should people be asking them to know if the tests are legitimate or FDA
Well, first of all, when it's a pharmacy, at least there's an intermediate level of a pharmacist who can check if the FDA has approved the test. It's a lot different and less dangerous than the online testing. But if I went to a pharmacy, I would ask my pharmacist, is the test you're giving me FDA approved?
Excellent. The FDA has only given a select few laboratories emergency use authorization. It says for everyone else there's a regulatory flexibility, but the company still has to validate their results to ensure they're accurate and reliable.
Yes.
What's the difference between emergency authorization
One is
and regulatory flexibility?
One is both are being overseen by the FDA. In one case, they allow the company to do the tests itself, but then under oath say that this is what we found. And the other, the FDA does it itself. We much prefer the FDA to do it itself, but given that we need tests, this secondary method is probably permissible. What's not permissible is allowing online tests with no FDA approval. That's the most dangerous thing, and that's what we're talking about today. Any other questions? Thank you, everybody.
I'm sorry, I'm just trying to keep this aid packages.
Yes.
What is coming up in the next aid?
Well, we will do a COVID-4. The details are just being worked out. But one thing is certain, we Democrats will ask for a very large infusion of money to the states and localities. That was blocked by Leader McConnell. He even had the temerity to say that the states and localities should go bankrupt, which would throw thousands and thousands of police officers and ambulance drivers and firefighters and bus and train operators out of work. We're very much against that, and I believe we will get a good, strong local, state and local appropriation in COVID-4.
What kind of formula are you looking for? Should it be the formula where...
Well, the formula that McConnell rejected in COVID-3 gave the hotspots the most money, and New York did very, very well under that formula, both New York State and the localities. That's the kind of formula I am looking for.
Should it also be tied to tax, the way Governor talked about?
So tied to what?
How much tax revenue, for example?
Yes. One of the things we put in our bill was to say that lost revenues could count and the states and localities could sign it. Trump, at my request, went online and said he will support putting that in COVID-4. That's very important. The money is important, but the ability to use the money for lost revenues, which all the states and localities are suffering severely, is important as well. And President Trump, at my request, has stated that he will do just that. He will be on our side on that issue. Okay, that's it. We can't do too many more. One more. North Korea. Look, the reports are unclear in that secretive nation as to the status of Kim Jong-un, but I can say one thing. No matter who the leader of North Korea is, it's a very dangerous country. They have more nuclear weapons, more delivery systems than they have ever had in the past, and we have to be very strong and very tough when it comes to North Korea, no matter who the leader is. Thank you, everybody.